Hello, and welcome back to the Marketing Chat Room. I am here today with Anna Goldwach. She is the Vice President at Andrini & Company, which is rebranding to a Trucordia company. So welcome, Anna. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Kayla. I really am so excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great to have you. Anna and I met networking a few years ago now, I think.
And we ran into each other again.
Yep.
Very often. I think, we should just give credit to Amber, really.
Yeah.
The Network Society is one, and then Vince.
And Kelly and Vince, all of our networking buddies.
Exactly, yes.
We just run into each other throughout the years while we're out and about trying to build connections and market ourselves and network with our local community here in Sacramento. So thank you again for joining me, and would you just start with a brief intro on yourself and your current role and what you do?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So my name is Anna Goldwach. I'm with Andrini & Company, a Trucordia company. Currently, I have a title as Vice President. All that means is I prospect large clients.
Okay.
That's all that means. So I work with large blue-collar companies, a lot of contractors, agribusinesses, and also real estate investors.
Awesome. And that's all under commercial insurance?
All under commercial.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been in the industry 19 years now, and I've been doing commercial for almost 15 years. Well, actually 15 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, so just commercial.
Nice.
Which I like a lot more.
Do you?
I like a lot more, than the personal. I don't know why. I think when I think about it, it's the type of client that I'm connecting with. It's just talking business versus they're more educated on it because they have to be. And then when you identify what they don't know, you help them with the gaps of that. And with personal, it's a lot more invasive, but people don't want to have that personal conversation. Like they don't want, oh, so I have all this jewelry at stake, like some people care or they don't. It's just different. Businesses have to care because they have so much more at stake.
Yeah.
And California is such a litigious state.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And then kind of comparing it to what I do, like in the marketing world, we do a lot of business to business marketing, and it's so much different from working directly with consumers, like working with a company. So like all of my clients are businesses as a marketing agency, and then it depends on what kind of business they are, like whether we're working with them on a business to business standpoint, marketing other businesses for them, or whether we're marketing directly to consumers. But I agree with you. I think it is easier and a little bit more fun, maybe.
I think
I don't
so.
know if that's the right
I think
word
it's fun
to work with businesses rather than like individuals.
Yeah, I would say that word. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also, you get to know people as well, right? They do share their personal life. But that trust that they've built in you to help them advise on their risk and exposures and the type of insurance they need, or they have to comply with a contract, I like all that.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more to do, and I guess I like a lot more challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know about you, but in marketing, with all the different like types of clients we get to partner with as far as what their businesses are, I get to learn so much about so many different things and so many different industries that I like otherwise would have no idea. Like if I was just working directly with a consumer, I would have no idea about all of these different industries and how businesses run and how they like all set up their budgets and their marketing strategies and all of that. Like it's so complex, and it's so interesting to be able to kind of get involved in that.
I agree.
Yeah, it's fun. Cool. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about business, a little bit about networking, and a little bit about marketing today. So I like to start out by asking all of my guests one of my hot seat questions, which is if you could join the marketing team for any brand in the world, which would it be and why?
If I could join any so it would be Netflix. Yeah. I think it's creative. They're just doing something so different with the shows, with shows that actually come across as a movie. And that just sounds like a fun environment to me. Yeah. I would totally do that.
Yeah, I think Netflix would be really fun to work for. And it's interesting to see like how far they've come as a company. I feel like they're a very adaptable company because, I mean, think about when they start out, they were like mailing DVDs.
Yes. And now, I mean, you have to, I don't want to repeat it, but, you know, like, even the brand of the tone rag goes, dun dun.
Yeah.
And I did it. And then you got, you know, the competition that started, I mean, I think Netflix influenced them, really. Like, you had Amazon, I want to say Amazon Prime, Fandango, like, they just started to come out with their little short, you know, movies or shows, but Netflix, they're there.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like everyone, maybe not everyone, but most people have Netflix, and then all the other ones, it's like you might have Netflix and one or two other ones, but I feel like Netflix is the staple.
I think so.
Everyone starts
I'd go
with
there.
Netflix.
That's where I'd go.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. That'd be a fun one for sure. And you have a really broad audience to market to, because
I think so.
like I said, almost everyone uses it, and now it's just about like how do you get them to stay.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different genres, so like it's just endless.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you know it just has made its way where you want to just binge watch a whole episode. I mean, I like the fact that we've come that far, right? I'm a millennial. I don't know if I should throw that out there. But I feel like, you know, when just really quick, my kids, when they, hey, put that on pause, whatever you're doing, come eat dinner, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm going to miss. I was like, well, good thing you're in the generation that can pause a movie when it's playing. Me? No.
Right.
You missed it. So that's what I love about Netflix and just all the other, you know, just all technology really. But Netflix is just, I can binge watch, pause, go back to my show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's also very like personalized. Like every person's Netflix, like you go to their home, you turn on their Netflix, like you're going to have a completely different experience based on like who they are and what they watch in their home, which is really cool. And I think that will continue to expand and like develop as AI comes into play a little bit more. Like I know my Netflix already knows so much about me, but I think it'll only get better. Like as far as predicting what kinds of shows and movies that you'll like, I think technology is going to impress us over the next few years.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And algorithm is very entertaining.
Yeah, it is.
I like to keep it confused.
Yeah. I don't. Mine is very basic.
Yeah. My husband doesn't. He doesn't like to get it confused. His is pretty spot on and mine is confusing. On purpose. I was like, I won't like it on purpose.
That's funny. What is one of your favorite ad campaigns of all time?
I want to say it's Allstate. Mayhem. He's so entertaining. I mean, those guys did it right when it came to putting real. So there's always the commercial, right? And I feel like the storytelling, but actually showing how bad it can get, that's the part that was entertaining. I mean, he has so many different ones, like just being a rusty boat hitch, you know, just having people over their house playing basketball and how bad it can go that, you know, the confrontation happens and someone puts all their weight on the basketball hoop and it breaks. I mean, there's so many different going bad. I know it goes more on the personal side because they're advertising a lot more to like making sure your cars and your homes are properly insured and you have these really in-depth conversations if you didn't, you know, this specific bad scenario didn't cross your mind.
Yeah.
But it's so entertaining.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a fun way to bring those unfortunate situations to light.
Yeah. I mean, we can laugh, right? Because it's not happening to us. But you're like, someone went through that.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Yeah, for sure.
It's terrible. So I shouldn't laugh, but I'm laughing.
Yeah. I'm sure you have lots of interesting stories being in the insurance
yeah.
world.
Oh, I've heard some pretty wild ones.
Yeah.
Especially, well, for business. But yes, some that... It made no sense. You know, I think a lot about risk and safety, and, you know, there's a reason why OSHA is around, and you have a lot of businesses that don't really understand it or never got the opportunity to understand it. Not the larger companies, because they're definitely more organized.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard some really wild stories where I'm like, okay, you should have been playing with those nail guns like they're guns.
Right.
And yeah, it ended up hurting somebody. So.
Oh man. Yeah.
I heard some wild stories for sure.
I bet. Yeah.
So far, I can say I'm pretty fortunate with minimal experiences in my track record with clients I've had. Pretty good experiences, other than, if they had to call it quits or sell the business, someone passed away. That's pretty much it. But I've heard stories for sure.
Yeah.
Of other people who had to go through specific claims that were messy. Like I said, more improper horseplay, not understanding the risk of tree trimming and someone snapping a wire and not surviving that. But, things like that, it can be tragic.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely important to think about those things before they happen so that you are prepared.
Yes, right? Mayhem.
Yeah.
They should do mayhem for commercial insurance.
They should. They really should.
I couldn't.
You can steal our idea. I'll say.
Yes. Someone, come on, someone.
Yeah.
I mean, I have, I don't want to throw out competitors out there that I think are doing it, but I don't really know anyone else that's doing it right, other than just a simple commercial, right? Just letting you know, hey, these are the services we offer, and we can help you here and here. Show an example of a florist, for example, in her setting, and then, hey, with this specific florist, we can offer this, and that, but not really anything as entertaining as mayhem.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I think you're onto a smart idea there.
I know, right?
Insurance companies.
I need to start something.
Yeah, I think we've got a niche.
I think so.
Well, cool. It sounds like insurance is can be a pretty challenging industry to work in general. But as far as your career goes, what is one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
I think when I started to network, that was different for me. And it was because I never really had the opportunity to put myself out there, and understanding the balance of it shouldn't be all business. People really need to get to know you. And that will make the difference if they will like you, right?
Yeah.
Like and trust, it's a real thing in sales, but just putting myself out there, that was different. Not that I'm not social, because I'm very social, and but it was also what do you do? What don't you do? That part. So those were challenges for me, and I feel like I've found my groove now, and I am myself. I am myself consistently, but I am myself more in the business setting and I don't make it this elaborate description when someone says, what do you do? I help businesses with insurance. If you want to know more, let's go grab coffee.
Yeah.
I'd like to still talk to a lot more people.
Totally.
And it's just been a great experience, just putting myself out there. But it was a challenge at first, too, because I didn't know what to do and what not to do.
Right.
So that was a part.
Yeah, it can be challenging. I was new to networking just a couple years ago, too, and I had to learn a lot, because when I first went, I remember thinking, my goal was just to, pass out as many business cards as I could, talk to as many people as I possibly could. There's 100 people in this room, I'm going to try to talk to 86 of them. But it took me a little bit to realize, okay, you can calm down a little bit. You don't have to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
It's definitely more about the quality of the conversations that you have and the relationships that you build, not only when you're in the room, but over time, afterwards, like you said, let's go grab coffee, or I ran into you again and again and again at all these other networking events, and then you start to get to know the person. Sure.
When I ran into familiar faces, I always wanted to make it a point to go there, hey, I saw you not long ago. I've run into people 2 days in the same week.
Yeah.
Which I found entertaining. At that point, I was know them by name and say hi. But definitely keeping in touch and grabbing coffee. What I've learned during those experiences of networking, it hasn't been that my best connections have come from actually finding a business owner out there, or that my audience is always out there. It's been that someone gets to know me, and they have an opportunity to really know me more as a person, and that balance of that professional side too. And they can think of an introduction for me.
Yeah.
That has been the most value I've received out of networking.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Same experience. It's when you go into it, you might think okay, I'm trying to meet person A, and like you're looking for person A, and when it's not person A, you're just like, okay, well, next person, right? Like, but really, what you learn over time, sounds like we both learned this, is maybe it's person B and person C and person D, and you talk to them for a few minutes and you build a relationship with them, and they know person A, or they run into person A 3 years later, and then they think of you and they make the introduction.
Yeah, definitely what I've learned. Yeah. And I appreciate the experience too, also putting myself out there, meeting people. I love to meet people. I love conversations. I love experiences wherever they go, right? It's good. It's good stuff. Memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have fun.
And sometimes you just make friends, and
there's
nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. I've met some really good people. I have, since I've put myself out there, some really good people, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you recently started a new networking group too, right?
I did. BizLink Alliance. Yeah. You know, I gone to so many network events, so many networking groups, exclusive and open. And I kind of wanted to find something where I can incorporate all these experiences I've had and maybe just try them and see what's working.
Yeah.
So I did a networking survey like to start off, get an idea of what people are looking for, and realizing that sometimes you're in these networking settings where there's so much of a program to focus on that people aren't really connecting. And that was something that really bothered me. I was like, okay, why aren't they focusing on letting people talk and get to know each other, right? In a setting that you made time, right? You set time aside to go to this event. You're hoping to really get to know somebody, one person at least, like you said, with quality conversation at least, right? Someone that you can follow up later, say, hey, let's grab coffee, get to know each other better. I really do think we can work together, actually, because there's some power partnerships. But again, I'm not always saying I found the most valuable connections from power partners has been from people just who got to know me more. But yeah, BizLink Alliance, and I'm really excited about it. It's been growing. We started off maybe like a month and a half ago, meeting every Thursday morning at 9. And we're also on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. But we're probably going to transition. We're still back and forth between me and 2 other members who kind of founded it.
Okay.
Maybe every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or maybe continue every once a week. Business mixer once a month. We actually have our ugly sweater mixer this Wednesday.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it says Shenanigans at 5 p.m., so that should be entertaining.
Nice.
Our first one ever, mixer.
Yeah.
So we're drawing crowds from all walks of life, all industries.
I love
I liked
that.
it, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Mixers are always fun, and it's important though to have that kind of core group that you can expect to see mostly every time.
Yeah.
There's something valuable about that, about seeing the same people over and over, and then you really do get to build that relationship with them.
Yeah, I do agree. We do have some regulars. The networking survey that I put out there, what I learned is that people were interested in education. So a lot of feedback came from people wanting to get education. Can you imagine? And we do that as well. We incorporate kind of like what we call a workshop spotlight. Okay. So someone gets an opportunity to put their skill set out there and teach others.
Nice.
You know, so whatever that is, if it's sales or marketing, I mean, I'd love to one day talk to you and say, hey, join us, Kayla, take the workshop spotlight.
Yeah.
It's just mainly about 25 minutes or less of time. We've had, we're going to have someone in lead communications next year, and also someone with the ability to kind of like EQ, you know, emotional intelligence, or read people, and networking. I'll be leading one on networking.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Cool. I'll have to come check that one out.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Nice. And then you kind of have had a journey. So you've been in the insurance space for a long time. Tell me a little bit about what role you had when you started out and how you've transitioned into your current role of vice president, and maybe what are some steps that were important in that journey that might be relevant to someone else kind of looking to take a similar path.
Oh, yes. I love that question. I think everyone who has a story that fell in insurance, it's what it is. You fell into insurance. It's not that you were like, I want to be an insurance professional when I grow up. So I started insurance by going to get auto insurance. That's how it started. And the business owner was there. It was a smaller brokerage, about 5 locations, 6 locations maybe now. And I was in college at the time, and I was like, it'd be good if I get a part-time job. And so I was applying for insurance. He brought up he needs help in like customer service. I was like, sure, I'll apply. And that's how it started. So I just started working customer service, eventually crossed over to sales quite a bit because I love sales. I realized, when you do those tests in high school and they figure out what you would be good at, I always tested in sales or business or something related to that.
Okay.
And my other lifetime, I would have probably been in law or a lawyer because I've also always had a passion for just being educated on at least knowledge and helping others. So that's kind of where I started. And one day, and this is what's funny because my clientele right now is contractors, but a contractor came in and we couldn't help them because nobody knew commercial there. And I remember the business owner saying, hey, just, learn it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. We don't know it now, though. I'm not going to go ahead and try to help this guy. And I just didn't want to put myself out there to have someone have so much trust, and I'm truly going to fail them because I don't even know where to begin. So I started to friend a lot of underwriters, the carrier side. And I started to teach myself commercial, take some classes, a lot of information that I could find online for free, learn what forms are. They're called, accord forms, learned what those are. And I ended up writing my first commercial, which was a lunch truck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it sparked a passion in me. I knew it then. I wanted to work with businesses.
Yeah.
So I started right around after I finished my first degree, I went and started to apply at companies. And I went to a company, and all they did was contractors insurance. And that was in 2010.
Okay.
And I remember saying, he asked me one question, do you know what an Accord 25 is? It's just a certificate, kind of helping a support role first. Yeah, I do. I didn't know much of nothing. I didn't. I just know I was a fast learner, and I was cautious, which has always helped me with risk and insurance because I'm cautious. I don't just make quick decisions. I do my due diligence. I do my research. I make sure that I'm confident I've got the right information to then share over to the client. So that started how I got my foot in the door. On my lunch breaks, I would read policies. Just to kind of learn the language, understand what premium calculation is, so how a risk is classified and how the rate is calculated. So I just started to educate myself.
Nice.
He never knew that I knew hardly anything.
Really?
Yes. But I was moved up pretty fast from the service support role, then into an assistant role, and then into a sales role. And then I've been in sales since then, so I love it.
Nice. Oh, that's really cool. That's a nice story, and I think it sounds like your advice is to just always be learning, right? Like
always
behind the scenes.
Always be learning. I think it's always having the mentality of like you don't know everything, and it's probably cliche and probably as bad as it sounds, but you know the saying where they say you know what you don't. What is it? You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's true. But I think it keeps yourself grounded, right? To always be coachable and open and to learn.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I love that mindset. I think it's important in a variety of situations and pretty much every career. It should be that way, right? Like every once in a while you'll run into someone who just thinks they know everything or acts like they know everything, but there's no way that it's possible. Like sometimes we'll run into that with clients where they've asked us to pitch our services, right? To put together a proposal for marketing. And we're like, okay, here's what we think, here's what we recommend, and here's why. And then they come back to us with all these questions, like as if they know more than us. And it's like, well, do it yourself then. I mean,
I like that. Just be that bold.
If you don't need our help, then why are you asking for it?
Yeah, I'm that bold.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear something like that. Like, I've actually had that same story where I'm like, for contractors, I don't do what you do every day. I wouldn't go onto the job site and start running the show, act like I'm the project manager here. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would expect the same level of respect of something I'm doing every day,
Right.
at least Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday is more like prep and wrap up, and
Yeah.
I do that every day,
Mhm.
you know? So give me that credit.
Right, right. It's the world we live in, and we're professionals. And I'd say I've had this conversation recently. Like, I'd say that we're experts at what we do.
Mhm.
Some people are afraid of the word experts, I think, because there's like a connotation in their minds that an expert knows everything.
Mhm.
But I am under the impression that nobody knows everything.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
experts know what they know, and they
Mhm.
know more than, most people in
Mhm.
that realm might know, because they do it every day. They live in that world. They've studied it. They're continuously learning. I think that makes someone an expert.
I like
And I
it.
think you can take on that title
Mhm.
confidently. Not to say that there's never going to be a question you don't have the answer to. There
Of course.
should be. Like, if
There
you are
should
an
be.
expert, there should be questions that you don't know the answer to.
Exactly.
But you might have, like, a community you can
Mhm.
rely on.
Yeah.
You should have places you can go when you don't have the answer.
Yeah.
But I think you can still be an expert without knowing everything.
I think so. I often use the word specialist.
Mm-hmm.
You're specializing, right?
Right, exactly.
Constantly learning and trying to be equipped and have the resources and have the answer and the knowledge to be able to help
Yeah,
navigate however situation the client's going through.
right. That's important. All right, let's move on to 2 questions on both sides of the spectrum. I want to hear the most difficult thing about your job and your favorite thing about your job.
Oh, I love that. Most difficult thing, I think it's experiencing, has been experiencing the clients when they have set back to their businesses because when you come into the conversation, right, you could be a new introduction. They have been previously working with someone. I think it's the experience that they had if they were taken advantage of, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And when they didn't have proper coverage, and it set them back in a way that, they have this lawsuit that was really ugly, or they're overpaying and they just don't understand how you can get that under control. Like, you're not going to overpay always.
Yeah.
Like, just, there's a period in which they never had the proper education. That part is always hard to kind of witness because, they're good people. And I care about people and I love helping people. So it always, like, touches me a bit like, oh, that's messed up. Like, you were
Yeah.
taken advantage of bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it has, I think my advice there, it's always how businesses should evaluate their broker choice. It's a really important decision, It's
Yeah.
someone that you need to know that is always going to look out for your best or try to get you the answer, but not one that just, we have a saying, or at least I've heard it many times in sales, but they say you speak with solutions breath, not commissions breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Totally.
and I believe that, put the client first. Something that I love about my job is meeting business owners and going out to their businesses. I love it. I love the traveling part of it. Working with farmers. I've been out in some really amazing real estate and ranches. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I've gone to some really amazing properties. We're like, this is amazing. Also, contractors. It's always been they're really cool people. They're
Yeah.
just chill. For a long time, I would always say I like contractors and farmers, like all day, my people.
Uh-huh.
And just meeting people, even real estate investors. I mean, they have a lot of moving parts. They have a lot of property. There's a lot. There in that regard, there's like 2 areas, right? That is their investment, all those properties, but the risk they face as well because of now being more high net worth of a client. So,
Yeah.
like the personal side, who's handling your personal side? I'm not trying to help you there, but I might know someone to help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because it's important to have those conversations.
For sure.
Yeah, I love meeting people. I love meeting new business owners all the time. I love to embrace the grind of calling new people out of the blue, which is probably a weird thing for people, right? They're
Uh-huh.
probably like, really? You're putting yourself out there for rejection? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's okay. They're
Yeah.
just people. I have fun with it.
Do you?
Yeah. I have
With
fun
cold
with it.
calling?
Yeah, with cold calling.
Wow, you're
Yeah.
the first person I've heard say that.
I do. I have fun with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I I just feel like the conversation's going to go the way it's going to go. And I'm going to try to get, the most important information across. But the reality is, you're a stranger, and they're not going to get comfortable talking to you right away. And they might shut you down so many times.
Yeah.
But it's okay. They're not going to remember the last times.
That's true.
I've challenged myself to call a person completely shut me down, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're not going to remember me next week.
Yeah.
And no, they didn't.
Huh.
And guess what? Second or third time, I probably got further than I did that first time. And or I was able to get them to agree to a meeting. Yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive to me as someone who works in sales and absolutely despises cold calling. Like, the thing is though, like, I have done it and I have gotten really good clients out of it, but I'm like, oh, it's a very vulnerable thing to do, especially when, you'll go on LinkedIn or you'll just hear people around town saying how much they hate being outreach to and how much they hate cold callers, and then I'm like, oh, but that's me.
That's me.
Do you hate me too?
They really do. People hate it. I'm sure they do. And it's okay. And that's the thing I believe in as well. It's like, it's okay to acknowledge that. I'm sure I caught you off guard calling you right now, complete stranger.
Right.
Right? But it's probably I'm not the first or the last person going to do this. And I just feel like if there's an opportunity to help, I'm a resource.
Yeah.
I've oftentimes referred to myself as a resource just because I feel like that's what I feel like I am. I'm here, available to help whenever you're ready. But, maybe if I can get an idea of when that timeline looks like, it's even better for me.
Right.
Because that's when you're just like, all right. The amount of times Anna's putting her name out there and constantly calling me is probably annoying you. But, I know psychologically people do not like confrontation. It's like we're going to avoid it at all costs. But I also believe that when you put yourself out there in business, you're putting yourself out there with so much risk to take. Even at the sake of people reaching out because they want to help you with something. And it might not be the right time, but eventually time comes around. And guess what?
Yeah.
How many times did Kayla come across that I'm like, I think I'm going to call Kayla.
Yeah.
That's
true. That's a good point.
The branding.
Yeah. And you kind of the same thing for email marketing, for me at least. Like, I know I can sometimes think that email marketing is a waste of time because everyone's inboxes are so crowded, and just doing cold outreach via email is like ineffective because I know I get like 100 a week like cold emails that I'm like, I don't even have time to read this or respond to it. But then you have to think of like, I have a client right now who I had emailed in like, I think February of this year, and they were like, thank you so much for reaching out. We're good. We don't need help with marketing. And then I think in August, they came back around and said, hey, we're looking for some help. Like, we're ready now. Like, we're looking for some help with marketing. And I remember that you had emailed us. So it's good motivation. You're inspiring me to
thanks, Kayla.
Go back to those kind of basics, like cold calling and cold emailing. Even though they might feel uncomfortable, they will, for me, certainly feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
But it is
Rejection's not
important.
fun.
No.
I think where I started to own it was it's not personal. They completely don't know you. I mean, come on. Like, if you get a phone call, how defensive are you?
Yeah.
What are you trying to tell me? I have to tell you that I do the same thing for in my career. Like, I call people, so I completely understand. So I have a lot more compassion.
Yeah.
But I'm really not interested.
Right.
I'm really not interested. Even with networking, I did the same thing. I put myself out there. My first initial efforts to network was putting myself out there on LinkedIn and asking people if they would be open to coffee.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's also a way to put yourself out there and comfortably is cold calling a LinkedIn kind of invite of someone local to Sacramento. Like, you've never met me. We probably have zero connections.
Yeah.
I'm like stranger danger. But, I am verified on LinkedIn, so I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, it's just coffee. We're in a public area. If you have opportunity to meet. And specific with, certain professionals, because I felt like if I could connect with a banker or financial advisor, I mean, there's, everyone has potential power partnerships, so power partnerships. So that's
Yeah.
kind of why I put myself out there.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
makes
kind of how it
sense.
started.
Mhm. That's really cool. Yeah, I think for some reason, more comfortable on LinkedIn, maybe because I'm a social media girl.
Mhm.
I'll reach out to a million people on LinkedIn rather than like doing one phone call. But I should mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up. I balance a lot of networking these days, so I feel like a lot of potential opportunities that I'm working on have come from referrals,
Yeah,
which is good.
that's awesome.
It's good, but it's always still good to put yourself out there and cold call or walk in a business and be consistent. I mean, there's so many times I've worked with a business that although I had been, and this is a learning lesson for me too, because we've all go through moments where you're like, huh, now I know that's not going to happen next time, right?
Yeah.
And it was pipe management, like really organize your top clients that you want to get in front of, right? And then if you got a chance, it would be consistent. You'd be consistently branding yourself in front of them.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't as consistent, guess what? You just missed a renewal. And now it's like they're not going to do anything about it. Client carriers don't really want to work with you and be like, sure, bring that client over, name your new agency. And they don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
A lot of them more and more are just not entertaining it. What we call midterm broker record changes, they just don't want them closer to the renewal. You kind of either market their policy, look over the program, course market for a better quality comprehensive program, or you can bring it over and name the agency you're with and yourself as a new broker. But yeah, I've that's why I was like, okay, consistency, the organization to that,
Yeah.
or have fun with it.
Right. Yeah, that's an important part of the process.
Yeah,
Have fun with
have
what
fun
you
with
do.
it. Yeah, they're good stories.
For sure.
They're
Yeah.
good stories when you get rejected.
That's true.
I always give people a hard time in sales, and even with my immediate team, the one that I recently left, I was like, "Oh yeah, your feelings aren't hurt, right?" It's like, "You get rejected every day. You're okay."
That's true. That's
a little bit of a thick skin
good
there.
way to look at it. Yeah, like do it for the plot. Like
Yes.
you'll have good stories to tell. It reminds me of when I was single and in the online dating world.
Mhm.
Like I was the most entertaining person to talk to when that was my life, because you get like so many weird or like horror stories when you're putting yourself out there in that space.
Mhm.
You always have something to talk about, because like people are people, and
Yeah.
things are strange, and dating is difficult. So I think maybe that's a good way to approach selling too, like to approach cold outreach at
Let's
least,
stay
and like
weird, okay,
building the
Kayla?
initial
Stay
connection,
different.
like just do it for the plot. That's my new
I like it.
That's gonna be my new journey going
Yeah.
into 2025.
Great, that's awesome. That's good. I like it.
Cool. Well, we have had a lot to talk about today, which has been awesome. Anything else you want to chat about before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram, but more LinkedIn than anything right now for social media.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. LinkedIn is my favorite
Yeah, that's my favorite.
professional network as well. Yeah, so I'll drop your LinkedIn handle in the show notes so that people can connect with you, particularly if you have any commercial insurance needs, but also if you
Thank
just
you.
want to stay linked into the networking community or stay inspired about selling. Connect with Anna, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Kayla. I had such a blast.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm glad it was a fun conversation, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.